Hey, are you looking for cheap homes in St. Louis and you want to know where to find them? This is the place where you can find cheap homes when we have them available, of course. Are you an investor in St. Louis? Are you new to the St. Louis area? You can always go to our website at stlwholesale.com, and you should see it somewhere in the description of this video. Sometimes when you hear the words cheap homes in St. Louis, cheap anything, cheap homes, cheap properties, the first thing that most are thinking are, wow, war zones. That's where all the cheap homes are at. I don't want those, It's a little different here in St. Louis. Me, I kind of know where most investors, where they would like to invest, especially some of our cash buyers, where they like to pick up cheap homes here in the St. Louis area. You might be surprised as well, especially if you have an open mind on where to get some of these perceivably cheap homes in St. Louis. Actually, there are some pockets within the city of St. Louis where you can get some great deals at as well. I know some investors don't like to, well, they're real picky when it comes to this area, and I'm sure that's any area in the St. Louis area or any area in the U.S. where you would like to invest. And there's a lot of factors involved into that as well. But there are pockets in the city of St. Louis where you can find some pretty good deals and not spend a lot of money. North City is a place where, when you hear that, some people think, war zone, hey, I don't want to invest down there. And, I can see why someone wouldn't want to invest in some areas of North City, but all of North City isn't, there are some pretty good deals that you can actually get in some of those areas. Now, you have to be pretty savvy and know someone like myself that's pretty savvy in areas like that if you plan on investing and finding a cheap home where you can do a lot of different things, where you can rehab it, or if you just want cash flow, if you want to flip it, however you want to do it. But there are some areas down there where you can get some pretty good deals. Also, another area where you can not pay a lot of money is South City within the city limits. There's a lot of good areas down near off of Grand Avenue, off of a street called Kings Highway, South Kings Highway. There's a lot of good areas where you can find some pretty cheap homes in the South City area here in St. Louis as well. I'm looking here at my notes. Another area where you can find some pretty cheap homes and get a good return on your investments, area such as unincorporated North County. Those areas include places like Blackjack. There's some unincorporated areas in Florissant, and there's some good areas where you can get some pretty cheap homes in the area of Hazelwood. Now, purchasing cheap homes doesn't necessarily mean that property value is in the ground. The property values in areas such as Florissant and Hazelwood are pretty good. Another area as well, I'll get back to Florissant and Hazelwood in just a second. Bridgeton, the Bridgeton area is a pretty good low-key area that you can get some pretty good deals as well. So this entire area here in St. Louis, Missouri, might surprise a few investors, especially investors that's not used to this area. You can get some pretty good deals here, actually. Get some pretty good deals here. Also, let's see, I was going to say something about Florissant and Hazelwood. I was talking about unincorporated area. And what unincorporated means, it's not the area is not, obviously it's not incorporated. Like there's unincorporated Florissant, so there's areas that's not regulated by the city of Florissant. That's all it means when you hear unincorporated St. Louis County or unincorporated. You start hearing the words like Florissant, unincorporated this, unincorporated that. It's just not. It's under the rules of St. Louis County and not the particular area. The Blackjack area is an area where you can find some pretty good deals at as well. But all in all, I believe areas within the city limits where you can actually get cheap homes. Now, in some of those areas, the property values may not be what you would like, but it also depends on your investing style. If you're a cash flow investor and you're just interested in cash flow and maybe putting a few thousand in some of these areas, hey, to each his own. You wouldn't believe how many investors do buy and sell in the city, within the city limits as well. So there's areas in South County that I absolutely love as well, where you make it a cheap home as well. Now, like I said earlier, it doesn't necessarily mean that that particular area, the property values are down. So, and that's what you really want, because you want a nice return on your investment. Like I said, depending on what investment style, but there's some areas in South County where you can get some pretty good deals as well. So, generally the property values in South County are actually very decent. St. Charles County, there's some great areas out there as well. We actually bought and flipped a home out there not too long ago, and made some pretty good money on it. So that area, St. Charles City and St. Charles County, you can get some pretty good deals out there as well. Looking at my list, I was going to say, when I was speaking of South County, the Lee area is an area, the Lee area and the Melville area, Oakville as well. But the Lee area, you can get homes probably a little cheaper if you want to go in that South County area. So you can get homes at a little cheaper than you can get in like areas such as Oakville and so on and so forth in South County. So let me see here. So there's many places where you can find cheap homes in St. Louis. It all depends on you. What's your investing style? What do you like? What type of properties are you looking for? Are you looking for a certain square footage? How many of these homes are you buying a month? How many are you buying a year? Do you plan on professionally managing it, or do you plan on managing the property yourself? So there's a lot of questions, obviously, when it comes to real estate. But to find a cheap home in St. Louis, it's not that hard to find a deal, and that's what you all want, a deal with a cheap home. They're going to be, some might say it's few and far between, but it all depends. But one of the things you can do is you can go to our website and you can make sure that you sign up for our buyers list, which is at stlwholesale.com. That's stlwholesale.com. stlwholesale.com. So I kind of get nervous every time I start spelling it. I have actually a thing in my head where I'm thinking about, hey, if I screw this up, if I give them another website, maybe a quote unquote competitor's website, but stlwholesale.com. We also have a Facebook page. Make sure that you sign up for our Facebook page, which is at facebook.com/St. Louis Wholesale Properties. And you'll see a link down in the description. We have a Twitter page as well. Make sure you subscribe to this channel as well. I know you want a cheap home or cheap properties, whether it's a commercial building or a duplex or whatever type of single family home that you're looking for in our area. But there are deals here in St. Louis still, even though inventory levels may be a little low on the retail side or whatnot. You have savvy investors and savvy marketers like myself that know where to find those deals and know how to source those deals. So cheap homes in St. Louis. Hey, thanks for watching this video on our YouTube channel. Subscribe and all that good stuff like I said previously. So hey, thanks for watching this video, and hey, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.